Welcome to the Liberating River, where spiritual freedom meets soul-aligned wealth. I'm your guide, Wanda F. Nesbit. Let's break free, build boldly, and live fully together. I know this might sound crazy, but just imagine a life where every choice feels right, where every path you take leads to deeper fulfillment. That's not a fantasy, it's a reality. Accessible through powerful, often overlooked inner compass, not just random gut feelings or fleeting hunches, but cultivating intuitive wisdom for abundant living. Today, we are exploring how to finally hear and trust that quiet voice, transforming your present and shaping your future. As Albert Einstein, look, I went back. As Albert Einstein once said, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Family, today we're remembering that gift, and we are going to learn how to use it to unlock abundance. We have to look beyond logic to unlock our inner compass. We live in a culture, addicted to overthinking. We have been taught to focus and almost neurotically obsessed with concentrating in a certain thing, right? And how did we do that? Well, think about it. We measure everything. We measure our steps. We measure our likes. We measure people by money. We measure things by deadlines. Basically, we have taken data and logic, and now that dominates how we make our choices. We thrive on seeing statistics as if nothing else matters. We find ourselves always asking, prove it. Where are the stats? I know, I've heard it too many times in conversation. Prove it. Prove it. Some things there are no stats for. Some things come from common sense. And I think common sense is connected to your intuition. But here's the paradox. Despite all the tracking and all the statistics that we do, honestly, I feel, and I know a couple of people feel, more anxious and confused. Because it's like you're disconnected to the truth of the matter. Sure, logic is good. It gives it structure, which is great in its place. But it doesn't always give us peace. And intuition, it's that deeper in the knowing. It's not that woo-woo, it's not guesswork, and it's not impulsive leaps. I know some people think that, but that's not what that is. It's wisdom. Intuition is equal to wisdom. It's quiet, it's steady, and it's often overlooked or just plain ignored. And in this world where being noisy is prominent, that inner compass is needed more. It's more important now than ever. So when headlines scream uncertainty, when finances feel shaky, when relationships feel pressure, intuition is that voice that leads and guides you. Intuition, it says, this is the way. Walk here. Do this. And it's more of a calming and a reassuring voice that's within inside of you. If you haven't done so, listen, check out episode 5, where I'm talking about reclaiming your inner authority. Your inner authority is your intuition. Gerd G. Gerinzer, a psychologist and the author of Gut Feelings, he wrote in there, he reminds us that intuition isn't irrational. It's our brain's ability to make smart decisions by recognizing patterns long before logic catches up. I found that amazing when I saw that. I was like, wow, that's a unique way to look at it. Basically, how I took that, intuition is an internal knowing. So if intuition is not random or fluffy, how do we know when it's speaking? I believe, one, you must acknowledge and strengthen your spirit man. Once you start to develop that, again, that's your inner authority. Once you start to develop that, then you'll be able to hear it when it does speak. So, what about those signals within? How does that play a part? How do we start to develop it? Well, you have to recognize those intuitive whispers. As I previously said, intuition is that inner knowing. That's your true essence. Your intuition shows up differently than fear, ego, or impulse. I have been talking about this in the last couple of episodes. Fear constricts, right? It tightens your chest. You might get a headache. Your options seem more discombobulated. It's a lot of things that happen when fear is in the middle of it. Let's not even talking about the ego. Your ego defends, right? It pushes you to prove a point or to avoid shame, in my opinion. And of course, impulse, well, it feels restless, urgent. You know, there's that urgency inside of you that's like, oh, you miss out if you don't act now, that kind of thing. But intuition, instead, it has a quiet confidence. It feels like peace. Again, listen, intuition is your inner authority that stands tall and it knows. For some, it's a gut drop when something's not right. Like you just feel it inside. It's sometimes a split second little, why do I feel a little off? I've heard people say, I know I've said it. Have you said it? Sometimes it's that moment where you're like, just don't feel right. That's your intuition kicking in because you can't see around the corner. We can't do it. But your intuition, which is your spirit man, is connected to energy and you can feel what's going on in the ambiance around you. For others, it's chills. I don't know if you ever experienced that, down your spine, you might feel that little, I can't say it's a quickening, but it's that, wait, what's going on? Like, again, it's your intuition alerting you, whispering to you, hey, pay attention. Sometimes it's just a thought that keeps circling back around. Has that ever happened to you? Whether it's like a dream that keeps repeating or a lot of synchronicities, you have to pay attention to it because that's your intuition connecting to the elements that we see in 3D to alert you. It's not always a bad thing that is alerting you to, but just to alert you of something. I think it's little winks from the universe that keep showing up because it's trying to get your attention. And the only way it can get your attention, because we're so 3D, we have to see it, unfortunately, before we believe it. Well, that's how your intuition, your spirit man talks to you. Jonas Salk, a scientist, he developed the polio vaccine, which I didn't find out, but when I was doing my research, I found that out. And one of his sayings is, intuition will tell the thinking mind where to look next. Sit on that. Intuition will tell the thinking mind where to look next. And I think he's right. Intuition doesn't cancel logic. Let me clarify that. I think I said it earlier, but I'm going to say it again. Intuition doesn't cancel logic. It just is the conductor. Maybe you've thought about buying into a new opportunity, right? And every time you get close, something inside of you feels unsettled. Whether it's getting a house, apartment, a car, going on this trip, whether it's a cruise, whatever. You can't explain it, but it's there. That's not fear. That's wisdom asking you to pause. I know that has happened to me on numerous occasions. I'll tell people, yeah, I'm going to show up to X, Y, and Z. But the closer I come to that time, it's like an unsettling, an unrest that's inside. It's like, you know what, let me call them and cancel. And I'll just pick up the phone and just cancel it because it's like, I don't feel right. That's not fear. That's wisdom asking you to pause. Science even backs this up, right? The Society of Neuroscience has found that intuitive decision making often happens when your brain processes subtle clues outside of our awareness. Subtle clues outside of our awareness. Our subconscious is putting pieces together long before our conscious mind can catch up. So the real question becomes, how do we strengthen that voice? How do we trust it more? How do we cultivate our intuitive garden? The answer is actively practicing. If we think of intuition like a garden, we know it takes preparation, awareness, and that's awareness of your surrounding, the environment, and it takes time. It grows when we clear the weeds and tend to the soil. And then, that's the only way the garden will produce a fruit and or vegetable. And that's just going to your little garden outside your house or to the farmland that's around you. But think about how impactful it is if we, again, till our soil and cultivate ourselves. The same thing applies. We have to chop up that rough ground so that it can show forth that healthy soil so that goodness and intuition and wisdom can flourish. Stay tuned. To be continued, coming next week. Thanks for flowing with us on the Liberating River. Subscribe, share, and come back next week for more wisdom, wealth, and alignment. Stay free, stay grounded, stay bold.